There is no victory to be had here. There is only survival.
Number 1. Guys, just a quick mention over here. I've actually never did this before, but since it's a big announcement, we've got at number 1 a primarily VR game from a few months ago, a totally brand new game by the same developers of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, touted as a single-player story-driven RPG called Behemoth in the making. Here's a sole trailer that they came up with, and the announcement that the game's releasing for PCs and the next generation of consoles only by the end of the year.
It will take your mind. I have found no meaning to this struggle. But when the end comes for you, do not yield.
First the iron, then the fire. Yes. Yes.
Yes!
Coming up behind that, it's the one and only Senua's Saga 2, Hellblade 2, technically speaking the biggest game in development by Ninja Theory right now, and probably the second biggest Xbox exclusive in the making. This game is only rumored to be coming out in about a few months from now, but to be frank, we've got just so little in terms of updates for Hellblade 2, it's pretty hard to mention it in any list. Nonetheless, upon release, and I've said it before, we know Hellblade 2 is gonna be a very, very important video game in the video gaming industry. So keep it in mind.
Take me! Chase me! Run!
Moving on to number 3, we have Abyss World. Totally new to myself, this is a third-person action RPG revolving around the hidden tales of a Nordic city called Nordinia. Here's the only trailer developers came up with. We know this game is actually being built with the Unreal Engine 5 and that it's a choice-driven story-based game. Check it out. Abyss World is coming out for PCs and the PlayStation 5 only. A precise release date for it though is still yet to be announced.
Remember. Remember the rage of the sea.
Coming our way roughly a few months ago, one of the lesser mentioned survival games on the horizon is in fact the most underrated, technically speaking, a game called XB1. This coming from the same developers of Black, which is just mainly platformers, a series of platformer games, but this time around it is an open world action RPG survival craft based on the Viking era and their strategy tactics mainly. Here's some in-game footage. XB1 is on its way to PCs only sometime later this year. That's all we know.
Such as you. I name you Chainbreaker, child of the wolf.
Moving on to number 6, we've got over here finally the much awaited Song of Iron 2, and with the release window of 2023 mid to late, coming to PCs and Xbox consoles only. Guys, this is if you are new to, in case you're new to an action hack and slash 2D semi-Souls-like, one of the best of its kind out there, and pretty much a mix of old Shank and Diablo to be specific. Here's a trailer. The game is now much more advanced in visuals compared to the first game and has a longer campaign too, apparently more action as well, of course.
This land is not for the weak. Most of us wouldn't last a day. But we know you're different.
At number 6, we've got from October last year. So not much of a brand new game, but still a brand new open world action roguelike called Ravenbound. Games described by developers as something with the challenge of a roguelite and the choices of an open world game, inviting you to explore a large fantasy world either on foot or in the sky as a raven. Check it out. Ravenbound is set to be coming out for PCs only later this year.
When you do. The hatred is a force stronger than you can imagine. But just as dust, carried by the wind, can level mountains, you can wield unimaginable power if you let it wield you.
The era of unending peace is past. It is now time for we wolves of war to awaken.
Project Awakening was originally announced for the PlayStation 4 and around 4 years ago. This was an open world action RPG Souls-like amongst just a vast amount of projects in the making without any title, and probably the most visually advanced game upon reveal as well out of any genre out there. Here's for those of you new, Project Awakening is now in development for all consoles in addition to PCs. It's not dead, it's actually reconfirmed for a release by either late this year or early 2024, so keep it in mind. At number 8, we've got over here something called November Eve. Actually, first time I'm mentioning this one on the channel. This was revealed at the Game Expo of 2021, that's just more than 2 years ago. Here with us today, once again, with the announcement that the game is coming to PCs and the next generation of consoles only. November Eve over here is a Souls-like, to some extent, open world action RPG, quite a bit like the upcoming game Crimson Desert, in which you can ride dragons and fly around with them as mounts. So keep it in mind for now. Moving on is once again Sky, revealed almost the same time now, only last year, was touted as an exploration-based chilling game where you venture into this world inspired by the Western Isles. Reason the game's name is Sky, hence the exploration part, you have to go around doing that with an aircraft in the sky, with the sole purpose to help the locals of this particular place with their troubles. The good thing about the Sky is that the game is free and has actually been sitting on Steam for free for over 2 years now, but the full finished project is set to be released very soon.
I see my daughter coming to me, so gently through the sacred grove. So sleep and lay down his cloak so under the land that's so green, and there she bore two
We have always known war.
Coming up behind that at number 12, we've got from roughly 2 years ago, technically when the game was revealed with the sole cinematic trailer, the game Avowed. It's actually one of the least mentioned games out there on any list and being developed by the same folks behind The Outer Worlds. And the sequel, I've actually only mentioned that the game might be in the same vein as Skyrim, but according to press, this game's idea is to be the next Elden Ring, but a Microsoft exclusive as well. That said, game's only rumored to be revolving around the story of Ragnarok.
Forsaken. And you must face the monsters our sins have borne.
Brand, my friend, you must gather your power.
Next up, we've got over here at number 11 from roughly a year ago, a game called Gimbal. Described by its developers, but as you could see, simply an isometric action RPG and inspired by the Norse mythology, or simply a Diablo, but in just Viking stuff. Check it out. The game's in development for PCs only, with a release window to be announced. Here's a reveal trailer. You can actually wishlist the game on Steam, where it says the game's hitting the market very soon.
Face the dead armies. And mend the broken prophecy. Only you can defeat Arch-Ludwig.
No man has ever been able to conquer these horrid lands, filled with vile demons.
And last but not least, we've got over here something called Gord. Mentioned this one last time about half a year ago, where developers described the game to be a single-player adventure strategy featuring developing societies with a dash of good old fantasy stuff, in which you mainly complete quests and manage a bunch of settlements for different races, by choosing a pretty big range of scenario options. Here's some in-game footage, game set to be coming out for PCs only later this year.
Whatever may come to pass, I ask only one thing: the survival of our people.